Hi everyone. In this video I'm going to talk about what the Mirai Guardian fits into and what you can fit into it. And I think that a good place to start is to talk about what its hangar size is. And it's classified as being a small ship. And I know that it sounds weird that it fits into the same size category as other Mirai ships like the Fury and the Razor, but it does. And if you try to land at a space station or other landing zone that you don't already have a hangar at, then it'll give you a small hangar to land in. And just as a little FYI, as it stands, you can access a medium, large, or cap ship from an ASOP terminal when you're in a small hangar. In fact, you won't even be able to see those ships. And the only reason why I mention that is because it's actually thrown a few people already, so it's something to be mindful of. Now, when it comes to what the Guardian can fit into, there's only two ships you really have to worry about, and those ships are the 890 Jump and the Polaris. And yes, it does also fit into an Idris. The reason why fitting into an 890 Jump is so important is because if it does, then that means it's also going to be able to land in the Merchantman's hangar as well. And the Merchantman's hangar was built to comfortably hold a Defender, which the 890 Jump can barely fit into its hangar bay, and as you can see from this footage, it can comfortably hold a Guardian. The other ship that I wanted to talk about is the Polaris. And I already knew that the Guardian could fit into it, but I wanted to get the footage anyway, plus it lets me see for myself how well it fits and how much room is going to be left over. And as you can see from this, the two ships ended up being a very good fit for one another. There's even enough room for you to be able to unload boxes, manually repair the Guardian, or even swap out its components, weapons, or missiles. So the Polaris could end up being a very handy maintenance/vehicle bay for the Guardian. Now, because this ended up being such a short video, I decided to also show you not only what the Guardian fits into, but what fits into it as well. And the biggest asset that you could bring with you is a single SCU size box. In fact, it can carry more than a few of them, but doing so comes with some caveats I want to share with you. My advice would be to limit yourself to only carrying two of them, and for you to store them in the components room, which is the room that's right next to the lift that's in the back of the ship. Another thing to be mindful of is that you can't stack them on top of each other. And I mentioned to put these boxes in this room because it's the only one that lets you push them up against the wall so they don't get in the way, and they'll be easy to get at and to remove if you want. If you really want to use this ship as a loot goblin, then you could put more boxes into the other interior rooms, but if you do, they're going to block your path and force you to have to use the two entrances to get around inside of it. So what about a 2 SU size box? You can get them into the Guardian. It's a little bit of a pain, and I suggest that if you just wanted to extend out the amount of cargo that you want to carry, then place one lengthwise down into the components room. And here's one thing to consider though. Ever since they lifted the restrictions on container sizes, there's not much that a 2 SU size box can carry that a single SU size box can't anymore. So they're not nearly as important as they used to be. In fact, they're actually a lot less convenient to carry around, especially within the interior of a ship like the Guardian. So you're better off sticking to using 1 SU boxes. And I say that because you want things to be as convenient as possible when it comes to inventory management. And the whole point of using crates like this is so that you can move a lot of loot all at once onto a freight elevator and into your personal inventory. But there is one thing that a 2 SU box could be used for. You can place one vertically on the rear lift. And it fits, and you could close it up without any issues. This is going to let you access an additional 2 SUs of cargo on top of everything else you're carrying. The only downside to doing this is that it's real sloppy work. It'll bounce around a lot on the lift as it moves, and it's going to throw a lot of sparks everywhere, which in the past would indicate that you're damaging the ship. But right now this effect seems to be more cosmetic than it is anything else. And it's going to block you from getting into the back of the ship or from being able to get at your internal weapons rack or the suit locker. And one last thing that I want to go over is that you can technically get a pulse into the ship, but from my experience it's not worth it. It takes up far more room than you'd think. It also ends up being a lot more difficult to get it in or out, especially if you've already loaded it up with a few small supply boxes. So it's confirmed that if you really want to transport one, then you can, but it's going to be way more of a pain in the butt than it's worth. So that's going to be it for this list of what the Mirai Guardian fits into and what fits into it. I've been your host, Law of the West. Thanks for watching, and take care.